You know how people always like to say or talk about matching energy? For the most part, in my opinion, that's a lie. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to also tell you how this relates to fighting. When people say they match energy, the reason why I don't believe they actually match energy has everything to do with the fact that in the confrontation, you don't want to back down to anybody. And more importantly than that, you want to overpower whoever is, threatening you with whatever negative energy that they're coming with. Okay? In a fight, that's the objective. Now, let's just say that it doesn't reach to the point where you end up trading blows or fighting. But, a person comes at you with negative energy. To fight that off, you have to overwhelm them with your energy. Okay? Now, when we talk about matching energy, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to meet them in the same volatile manner that they met you. We can also recognize the fact that when a person is coming at you in a volatile manner, without being violent, you can be cool as water, okay? You can recognize where they're coming from, and you can peacefully resolve the issue without having to go to the same place that the person who's volatile towards you has gone. On the flip side of that, however, if a person is being volatile towards you and you let emotions run high, you are going to supersede the energy they put out. If you match the energy with the person, then it prolongs the situation. It prolongs the problem. It eventually doesn't get solved, okay? So when we talk about matching energy, no one really and truly does that, okay? And if you are doing it, you need to just stop it. This is also reflective of a person's problem-solving ability, okay? A lot of people like to fabricate their emotions. They like to act like a matter is bigger than it actually is. Excuse me. There's a book that I bought it's an ebook that I've read called The Courage to Be Disliked. And in that book, there's a short chapter about how people fabricate anger. And the proof that's given is when a person gets angry. That's something like, for example, a parent gets angry at their child. They're hollering and screaming at their child for something their child shouldn't have done or did do that they shouldn't have done, whatever the case may be. And then the phone rings, they pick up the phone, and they answer the phone in a calm manner. If they were really and truly angry, if they're really and truly in a state of anger, then the same energy they had for the child that disobeyed them or transgressed or made them upset for whatever reason, it would carry over to the phone call. But if it doesn't carry over to the phone call, it's like, well, where'd the anger go? Like, are you really angry? You're putting on a front for someone that's calling you. You don't know them from a can of paint, maybe. Whatever the issue may be, but that anger should carry over. So if you can calm yourself in that mode, and then when you're done talking to the person on the phone, the parent goes back to the child and starts hollering and screaming at the child again. That's fabricated anger, okay? How this pertains to, confrontations in our daily lives, once again, people make matters more important than they should be. People will make a situation that has nothing to do with them more important than the person who the situation actually pertains to. For example, I recently got my license. I ain't gonna get into all that, but I got my license, okay? And now the question comes, what type of car I'm going to get or when I'm going to get my car. So I got into a back and forth with my coworker because they asked me what type of car I'm getting. And I said, the only thing I'm focused on when it comes to getting a car is getting from one point to another, point A to B. Next thing you know, they get hyped. And they're like, I didn't ask you that. I just asked you what kind of model make a car you get. I said, dude, I just answered your question. So next thing you know, we get into it. And the whole time, like after it's over and done with, I reflect back on it. I said, why the heck is this dude getting angry at me or stressed out over me about a situation that has no bearing on the things he does on a day-to-day basis? And for a few days, we didn't even speak outside of hello, good morning, or whatever. You know, this goes to how people like to fabricate or act like they care about situations that they really don't. I say all this to say that, to wrap this up, matching energy is pointless, okay? You don't want to come with the same energy as the opposition, okay? If the application is, excuse my language, excuse me, fumbling my words, but if the opposition is coming in fury, then you should be as cool as water. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you don't have a right to be angry, but what it does mean is, if you get to that point where you're angry, and someone else is angry with you, you're not really willing to match the same amount of energy that they are, because the whole point is to diffuse the situation and solve the problem. Okay, however you see fit to solve the problem is on you. But saying I match energy, it's like, no, you don't. Because once again, let this carry over to an actual fight. No one's trying to match energy. I'm not trying to go blow for blow with anyone in the fight. Okay, I'm trying to eliminate them. I'm trying to shut them down. I'm trying to make it so that I win the fight. I win the confrontation. You understand what I'm saying? Should it get to that point? So this has been a short video on the myth of matching energy. Okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.